Hello, this is Cynthia Mazzaferro with Powerful Beyond Measure, and I'm so excited to have another fabulous author. His name is Ken Pasch. How are you, Ken?
I'm doing well, Cindy. How are you tonight?
Great. I am so honored to be revealing your new book, and I really can't wait for us to talk about it with our listeners today. But let me tell everyone a little bit more about you, okay?
Well, thank you.
So Ken is the president of Key Visions. He is a retired Air Force lieutenant colonel and has extensive experience in leadership and management. He worked for decades in the business environment, spent many years as a flyer and squadron commander, and hosted a radio show for leaders. Ken has mentored and coached people in global corporations such as Johnson & Johnson, associations such as the American College of Healthcare Executives, and taught at Penn State for about 20 years. He's a board-certified healthcare executive and certified leader coach. He is, quote, quote, chief architect of Key Vision's leader development process and author of the book we're going to talk about, On Course, Becoming a Great Leader and Soar. There it is. And become the boss you always wanted. Ken's tools for leaders go beyond the norm by showing good people how to become great leaders. And I think this is a fabulous topic. I'm so excited to talk about with you because so often we talk about great leaders and being in a leadership role, but we don't talk about how to get to that level. So welcome, Ken, and thanks for being here tonight.
Oh, Cindy, I so appreciate it. And I really do like your book too, this Powerful Beyond Measure. I mean, the two pieces really dovetail because one of the reasons we need great leaders is because so many people feel powerless in what they do. So the kind of things you're doing will help leaders themselves and the people that they lead just get that much further along down the road. We could be so much better off if we would just do some things that, and I think you and I are trying to help people do.
And I love that because it's not about leading from power of position where we're powerful over people. It's really leading from a place of empowering people below us to rise and be great within themselves, which allows the collective whole to be greater. And I think that's what I love about your book and how you really speak to bringing out the best in people. And it's really a beautiful concept.
Well, people are so talented. If we could just figure out that everybody has this gift within inside them. I wanted to play second base for the New York Yankees. I didn't have that talent. That wasn't mine. So I had to figure out what mine was, so we have these childhood myths that we can do anything we want. Well, not so much. We have to do very well with the gifts we've been given.
But so often we don't actually see the gifts that we actually have, and we don't value them because of that, we don't usually rise to be powerful beyond measure, to see your greatness, to be a leader. And not everyone is a leader. Some people are followers, but we need followers. And if that's your skill set and that's where your comfort zone is, there's nothing wrong with that either.
No, absolutely. And that's the key piece. We each have a part to play. And that's one of the reasons for the name of my company is because we're all in this together. We have a part to play, figure out what that is, do to the best of our ability, and things will be a lot better than they are right now.
So let's start with it, because as I was reading your book, one of the things that jumped out at me, which I really loved, was how did you come to value the quote, quote, potential in humans? End of quote. And you use the word potential in humans in your book. And I would love to hear that because I think that is so important, seeing capacity, seeing abilities, greatness, gifts in people. How did you come to understand that?
Well, it was a bit of a circular process to get to that point. Can we do a little bit of my history to help people understand?
Sure. Yes. Go ahead.
Well, real quickly, I'm one of the last people in the United States to be drafted into the military. That was not on my bucket list. There were people dying in the jungles of Vietnam. I didn't want that to be me. But it presented an opportunity, something no kid from the projects thinks possible. I got to fly, and I loved it. But I found out flying wasn't great for family when Kate, my beautiful wife, offered one day, either you stay flying or we stay married. Yeah, because I was gone all the time, either flying on what we call alert or deployed. And so I wasn't around and I wasn't helping her take care of the family and doing the kind of things I should have been doing. So I traded my flight suit for a business suit, used my education to help lead medical centers. And that was the first time I was really thrown into a position of authority. And I really didn't know what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just face it. I just didn't. But I figured, well, I'm the boss. They need to do what I say. Yeah, that worked well. Not. And so I made a commitment to get better. And the wake up call I got was pretty funny. I'll have to send you a copy just so you see how I knew that I needed to do a little bit better than I was. But I decided I'd change. So I tried books, courses, and workshops. And like you're talking about, you started talking about, they told me what a good leader should be. They gave me a lot of laundry lists of things. I had to have integrity. I had to build trust. I had to do this. Great. But how do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I was really frustrated. And then I realized, well, maybe I better figure out how this happens. And I had a crazy thought one night. It was during one of many sleepless nights as I was searching for the solution. But I had this crazy thought. I said, I wonder, could there be something similar in what it takes to get an airplane or organization off the ground and to its destination? And you know what? I had nothing else to lose. I tested it out. It worked. It worked really well. Mm-hmm. And the tool is one of the things that is highlighted in the book, and how people can use the dynamics of flight to lead. So it's a model that people can just, oh yeah, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. This is where I go here. So I think it gives them a graphic representation of the kind of things we have to do as leaders. And then I figured out through another process that here's the problem. I had the wake-up call. Most other leaders don't get that wake-up call, and study after study proves this to be true, that the leaders have a belief that they're doing really well. Well, when you really get down to it and you ask the people that they are leading what they think, yeah, not so much. And so we came up with this other tool, and the other tool is called Make Your Mark, and it's a cycle. And it starts out with leaders have to adopt the mindsets that will help them be mindful of the impact their actions have on others. And when they do that, they understand, oh my gosh, these people really are talented. They really do have something inside them. Because that's where I came to it, was once I let people start, say, hey, this is where we need to go. How can you help us get there? It's amazing what they would do.
Well, and I love that story, Ken, and I read about it in the book too, and I love that you're sharing that. And part of what I love about your whole personal journey and what you brought into now the business world and trying to create better leaders is that even the title of your book, On Course, and having the flying background, but here being at a major fork in the road, if you will, your life, you got to a point where your wife kind of gave you the ultimatum. But life is like that. We all have choices, free will, right?
Right, exactly.
Whether we go to the left, whether we go to the right, straight, whichever way. And you had to make a decision. And I think that your book, even though it's about creating great leaders, mm-hmm. I think there's a lot in the book that can help even people, no matter where we're traversing and which course we're on in our life, that you might not feel equipped or really have the resources that you feel comfortable with to be able to excel in that job initially, or that path, that journey, the course you're taking, but that it's really opening up a new venture, a new opportunity of personal growth, maybe spiritual growth, but a new place of movement for you personally. And you took on a role that you were somewhat uncomfortable with. You weren't in a management position prior, and you decided that you needed to look to your own self. How could I grow? How can I take this role and also allow my people below me and the department and the job that you need to do overall thrive? And I think that's so important, that we need to look within ourselves, but also look at how we impact the other people.
Right. I mean, and let's face it, we are all in this together, and we all have a part to play. So it goes back to exactly what we've been talking about. We each have this gift. Find that gift, use that gift. And I think it's not easy, but it is pretty simple. I mean, if we can just figure out, I got to find my gift, I got to use my gift. It is pretty simple, but applying it is the difficult part. And so we have to, because we're not going to be perfect.
Well, and I love this because a lot of people that listen to my videos are working on self-development, spiritual, personal development. And I look at some of your reasons, we talk about, I think we're off course. We're distracted. We procrastinate. We disengage, of some of the words that you use. And I think those are powerful words that we can sabotage ourselves in our successes by this being distracted, by blaming everyone else for your failures, lack of success, lack of motivation, and that you have to take the action. You talk about that, to execute the plan. How do you measure your progress? How do you test the plan? How do you reflect on how you're interacting with your peers? And I think some of all these steps that you use in your how to be this great leader also can be applied in the course that you're taking in any form of life, because you're being a leader in your own course of action. Does that seem to also resonate with you?
Well,
agree?
I appreciate you saying that, because I have this belief in the back of my mind. I really don't know how to help people that are not leaders in an organization. But I have this belief in the back of my mind that the kind of things that we talk about in the book have a much broader connotation, where people, whatever journey they're on, whether they're trying to be the leader of an organization or a big or small, whatever that is, or they're trying to just lead their own life. My guess is, I can't prove this, but I do believe that my guess is, yeah, that's exactly right. And so, and I use this term a lot. We too often, and let's face it, we were talking a little bit about technology before we started the show today, but we get so wrapped up in some of the things that technology brings that we start living everybody else's life, what we might call vicariously living, and we don't live our own. We're so worried about what happened on this show or what happened on that show. Well, what happened today in my life that allowed me to grow? And I think that's so important, whether I'm in a leadership position or not. So I think you're right. I just can't prove it because I don't.
And I really think, I think we define leader. Everyone can define leader as differently. Some believe it's the boss, but
and it is,
and it is to some capacity, but you can also be a leader of a position. I'm going to encourage everyone to speak out on whatever the topic might be, or I'm going to be the leader on the playground, not allow bullying happening. There's no boss, but you choose to lead. And for me, leadership starts within. And that's why I love to apply your concepts, which I think are great, to our own personal growth and opportunity of advancement, of success, of achievement. And I think if we can use that within ourselves, that then we become even greater leaders, because then we allow our followers to then rise up and also see their greatness, become greater leaders. Because it's really, it's always better to have many leaders than to only have one dictator leadership. So it's great to spread that wealth of confidence and ability. And I think that to me is a great leader, when you can really see the greatness in your flock, in your subordinates, and allow them to be creative and expand and grow.
Well, like you were talking about with who is a leader. Well, and like you say, if you have a position in an organization that doesn't have any responsibility or authority or for anybody else, but one of the things, the concepts that we talk about, leaders need to take ownership of their areas of responsibility. Well, if I have a specific role, then I probably too need to take responsibility and ownership for that role, whether or not I'm technically leading anybody else. And one of the greatest things that I love is some of the companies that, and I won't name them because I don't want to get into, well, that company's not good for this, but there are some really good companies out there that recognize the value in all people. Because I don't frequent many fast food restaurants. It's just, I just don't. But when I go to certain fast food restaurants and I see some of these people that are working there that a lot of society would consider throwaways. They've got something less than the rest of us,
Right.
people might say. And these people are working in jobs that most of us would say, oh, I don't want to do that. But these people are so excited that someone has valued them, that has
That's right.
given them some responsibility. And they are just ecstatic with what they do. And they do it, seemingly to me, to the best of their ability with a smile on their face. And boy, wouldn't it be great if we could all get to that?
You know, I think it's a wonderful story, and I actually have a follower on my Facebook page who had drugs and alcohol addiction, and you know, hadn't had a driver's license, and he was trying to get a job. And I said, you know, let's work on the resume. I kind of helped him.
Yeah.
He couldn't afford coaching, so it was
Yeah.
just something where I just was messaging him, and he got a job at McDonald's. And I said, you know, and his name starts with J. I'll just say that. And I said, you know, you can choose to be the best McDonald's employee and greet everyone with a smile and dress clean and present. This is a new opportunity. This is a new course, new direction, new path. You can choose to now thrive and really be this wonderful, amazing person. And he actually has now even got a management position there.
That's phenomenal.
And just in less than a year and a half, I think it is. So I think that's such a great story that whatever we're doing, there's that step up, be the leader in that role that you're taking on, whether it's a mother, father, employee, you know, whatever we're doing, we need to step up and be in that leadership role. So let's go into a little bit, let's dig a little deeper. You have some key ingredients to be a leader, and I'd love to talk about a few of them if we could. So you use UEOs, which if don't have to put you on the spot, are unlock, engage, and optimize. Your innate potential. And this is what you were talking about initially when I first asked that question. How do we get that natural potential from each of us? So can you briefly talk about the unlock, engage, and optimize?
Oh, well, briefly?
Yes, we only have a few minutes.
But absolutely, it's one of the key pieces. And you know, there's a number of people, and I don't mean to besmirch any of my competitors or anything like that, but there's a number of people that talk about unlocking human potential, and I think that's great. It's a great start. But the other thing is, take a look at it from a physical perspective. If you unlock a door, what good is that if you don't step through?
Mm-hmm.
Because the unlocking part is just one step, because that's why a lot of people, I think, they go to school, whether that's a trade school, a technical school, college, you name it, whatever it is that they're going there to help unlock that potential. But then they got to put it to use.
Yeah, they got the diploma hanging on the wall, but now what are you going to do with it?
That's right. So let's go do something with that. Let's make it really worthwhile by engaging that potential that we've unlocked. But we're still not done, because none of us, like we talked a little bit earlier, none of us are perfect. And so we all have room for growth. I read 50 to 60 books a year. And, you know, people say, oh, but you're supposed to be the expert. Well, I'm working on being better every day, but I don't know that anybody could classify themselves as a true expert when dealing with human beings. I mean, there's just so much to learn. And so we always have to look for that. And so we should continue that learning process. But part of that learning process means we should open ourselves up to feedback from others. I always ask my clients, they're asking me for feedback on their performance. So I always ask them for feedback on my performance so that I can continue to grow and get better, to serve them to the best of my ability. That's where the optimizing comes in, so that we can really do all three of those. And then if we can do that as an organization, the sky's the limit.
Exactly. I love that. So let's talk about becoming an ACE. ACE, you talk about, you know, ace in the sky, you know, our ace flyer, which is living with abundance, abundant mentality, which I think is huge. Positive thinking. What do we think is our success potential? You know, once you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to achieve it, right?
Right.
And then concentrate on priorities, and then earnestly pursuing that passion, purpose, and passion. So can you elaborate a little bit more on these ACE?
Oh,
Fabulous.
absolutely. And obviously become the ace. Oh, most of the stuff that we do has a flying connection in some way, shape, or form.
Love it.
This one's a nice, peaceful, gentle connection. So become the ace. When we talk about abundance, let's start there, because that's the first thing that we ask leaders to do that come and seek our help. We say, we live in a world that's truly operating most days on a scarcity mentality. And the easiest way to look at these two, abundance versus scarcity mentality is I win. Take an example. Most people still drive gas-powered vehicles. That's changing, but as it stands right now, it is. When we need gas, what are the factors we use to determine where we get that gas? I don't think the gas station owner's well-being is one of those factors. It just isn't, right?
No.
Our factors are price and probably convenience.
Right.
And
Location.
that's right. So I win because I'm trying to get the best deal. Now just think about what happens when a boss, which one of the roles of the boss is to be a leader, when a boss takes that same mindset to the workplace, where the boss is trying to get the most and give the least. People are probably, the employees, they're probably likely to operate in the same fashion, probably from their perspective, not the bosses. And
But let's before we get to how the employees are working from, let's feel, how does the employee feel about the boss's mentality?
Yeah.
Negated. They doesn't care about me. It's all about him. It's all about the bottom line. So there's a trickle down effect. What effect as a leader are you having on your subordinate people? And that's, I think, so critical.
Here's that mindset. Yeah. The impact your actions are having on others, right? We have to be mindful of that. So instead of choosing this I win approach, which typically results in let's be easy about it, a wrestling match see who's going to win, choose a different approach. Choose a we win approach. Choose an abundance mentality approach. We can make our workplaces work such that we win. Now, there may have to be some things that change. That's true. But the result can be phenomenal. The little I might give up in the short term as a boss who adopts a we win approach, it comes back to me sevenfold, if you will, when I do that, because of what people are willing to do for the organization. When we all believe, hey, we're on the same page, we're on the same team, we're trying to get to the same place. And when we do that, it's just amazing what can happen.
It really is. And, I work with so many clients on personal growth issues. And one of them might be just having a voice. Well, how can you be a voice a leader, if you don't even have a voice to say, you stand up to your children who are bullying you, or your spouse, you never say what you want. And so often we have to see, as leaders in corporate America, especially, that's kind of with the business book here, that for me, you have to see that these are people that have their own self-perceived limitations.
Exactly.
Where they don't see that potential in themselves. So as leaders, for me, and that's what I loved, resonated so much in your book, is that as a leader, to me, the truest leader that is successful is not about the bottom dollar. It's about seeing the potential and bringing out the potential of the human, the people you work with, your subordinates, if you will, and seeing their greatness and allowing that to thrive. And that's that win-win mentality you're talking about. We all win. And I just think that's so pivotal and such a beautiful breath of fresh air and culture in business that we need to see, and we are seeing more and more over in different business arenas.
And I think that's so true. And I think what we have to recognize is if we do it this way, my experience and the experience we've had with our clients shows that the dollars will come. Because if we're doing it, we get to that next phase and become the ace, concentrate on priorities. There's an awful lot of places that they're not concentrating on priorities. Going back to just what we were talking about, the book, the model that's in the book, the first step in the model is to point the plane in the right direction. And a big part of that is making sure that we're concentrating on priorities, that we're doing things that are going to meet the mission, that we've established in order for us to achieve the vision, whatever that is. And if we do these kind of things in a logical process and sequence, it's amazing the kind of returns that can come. But they come naturally. They're not forced that I'm trying to sell, hey, I'm going to sell you this product, and I guarantee it's going to work for at least an hour.
Well, there's an internal aptitude and attitude and motivation and enthusiasm. But more importantly, the product you're selling or service you're selling, you want the customers to be happy. So customer service, you want that feedback to be vibrated back to you as well. As kind of asking, like you were saying earlier, I need the feedback. How am I as a coach, or how am I as a teacher? So we need that feedback from our customers to say, is the product good quality? Is it innovative? Is it meeting the needs of the product? Is it promising to do what it says it's going to do? So I think that you're right. Changing the mindset and culture and finding the human potential and achieving that greatness at all levels, that the whole company and the product and services grow and excel. And then, of course, the monies will come because the product will sell, because it's contagious.
Well, when you ask any business person, which is easier and which is cheaper, to retain a current customer or go out and find a new one, they are night and day difference. The cost of customer acquisition is different for almost every business, but it is a huge cost to try to find a new customer. Why not keep the customers that are already coming to us very happy?
Right. Well, we know word of mouth is the best marketing tool you have. So if you keep them happy, they're going to say, hey, go buy that product. It's fabulous, So absolutely.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So that we win transcends beyond just the boss and employee relationship in a huge way. It goes to the vendors, it goes, the suppliers, it goes to the customers, it goes to everybody across the board.
Exactly. So Ken, why don't you hold up your whole book, everyone show the cover, and then is there anything else you want to say to those that are watching this video that maybe we didn't get to talk about in the questions that you want to leave our viewers with?
Well, Cindy, I really appreciate this opportunity because it does hopefully give us that wider audience that can have an understanding that there are ways to do things better when you are in a leadership position. And maybe like you were talking about, it may help people who aren't in leadership positions do things better. I just can't guarantee that because that's not my field of expertise. I help people in organizations. And not just businesses, but there's many organizations that we work with as well. And so the key is realize there's a better way to get great results before you have a wake-up call like I had so many years ago. 1982, I can tell you the year it happened. Yeah.
But but what I love about it, Ken, is you didn't look at it as, oh my gosh, it's death or die here, or even though we have struggles that come or situations that come into our life, and you can be, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. How can I thrive there? I'm safe with my cockpit, and it provides a great life for us. But I think these opportunities, it's like unlocking that door. It presents itself, and we need to lead ourselves through the door. We need to go on a new course, and that the universe is pushing us into this. And just like your dream kind of came to you about using the cockpit and all the whole aviation around this concept of leadership, and because it was your language, it was your communication, it was the best way you could bring into the aspects you want to bring into about leadership, using something that was very guttural, very instinctive in your language, in your life. And I think it was very poetic and also very tangible in learning those lessons that you want to bring to bear in leadership.
Well, thank you very much. And, it really is. And so, you asked me if there's final things to say. We worked really hard over the last 30 plus years to develop tools to help leaders not only know what, but how to become a great leader. And I'd appreciate if anybody who's listening would take a look. I'm not asking you to buy things necessarily. I'd be happy if you did, but take a look at what we do. See if it helps you. See if there's a better way that you say, well, if you would just tweak it this way, I'm willing to accept that feedback. Because like we talked about, Cindy, I know that I still have a long way to go before I can consider myself the expert on this kind of stuff. I don't know if I'll ever get there, but I'm going to continue to try.
I think that's great. I think that's beautiful. Great parting words. And so, Ken, how can people, your book has now just come out in February, and
Right.
it's available anywhere in the world, online or at any bookstore. And if it's not in the bookshelves, just ask the bookstore to order it, and they'll be able to get this copy of your book on course. And I wish you much success, and you already are leading into a successful opportunity and career and growth opportunities. So much success to you and your book and to all those that you reach out to.
And I have to say the same thing back, because I love the way that you use the word power in your book as an acronym in the 3 different stages. Am I allowed to say what they are?
No, sure.
Past, present, and future? Because I think that's something that we really need to understand is where we are is a result of where we've been. But where we are is not necessarily where we will be tomorrow. And so we have to look forward into that. So I love the way that you frame that using the acronym of power throughout the different phases of our lives, and how we just keep going, and the things that we need to look at and the things we need to work with. So I think there is a good connection between the 2 books and how they.
There is. And I always like to bring the personal part into whatever book or author I'm talking about, because I think there is that connection, because our past does direct us. And I encourage us all to come off of autopilot, which is your past, guiding us and directing us using the same reaction, same action that we're taking in our life, and choosing a new course. What's the course that's going to bring us the greatest growth opportunity?
Mhm.
And then how is that, and what form does that take? And how does that reveal in ourselves? And to be able to ask others, how is this, resonating with you? How is this, am I doing a good job? Not that you need confirmation, but how can you bring them up as well? Because we do not live in this world as a singular being. We are not on that show, what's it, Naked and Afraid? We are not Adam and Eve living on an isolated piece of land.
No, we're not.
Interact, right?
That's absolutely correct. And we have to figure that out sometimes. Some people try to make it out such that, it's a great reality show, I guess. For people that really enjoy that kind of stuff, it works great. But in reality, we are here, and we've got to deal with what comes at us each and every day. And we just got to decide, how are we going to do that? How are we going to do that better?
And it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Like on the show, it's not easy. And, then you have the negative, the mindset, you have scarcity, that's not there. But how do you still thrive? How do you have that willpower, that drive, that passion, the intuitiveness to create a home, to create food and sustenance? And the same thing comes with leader. How do you allow that business to grow, to not just exist, but to grow and flourish? And I think all of this is very much parallel, and you can use it in any aspect of your life, personal or professional life. And I think it's a great book that we can all benefit from.
Well, thank you very much, Cindy.
You're welcome. Well, thank you for taking the time being here today. And again, you can reach Ken's book anywhere in any bookstore online. And what is your website, Ken?
www.kivisions, that's Key Visions, Key is a Japanese term, kivisions.com.
Great. So if you want to learn and talk to Ken, you can contact him through his website. So thank you for being here once again. And remember, you are powerful beyond measure, and allow your course to direct you to your greatness. Take care. Until the next time, have a wonderful day.